AoPanda Party dropped last week and shot to #1 in Japan and the world. This and more in today's action-packed episode of the NEKO-ALPHA show, bringing you NFT News and Alpha and more from Japan. I'm Neil, and I'm here with United Neko Alliance co-founder Steve. Remember, not financial advice. Do your own research. You definitely do not want to be taking financial advice from us. Okay, let's have a look at the NFT rankings for Japan this week. And as I just mentioned, AoPanda Party, #1 with a bullet. So it dropped last Saturday, and it minted out very quickly at point 0.001, if you can believe it. The project went at 0.001, 10K, and it immediately went up to about 0.2 and 0.3, and it kind of hit 0.4 the first day, and it's now sitting at a 0.6. So, Ao Umino-san, the founder of AoPanda, is also the artist behind. You can see here, sir, the Twitter for AoPanda Party, and here's her personal, but she also does Devil Kitties. I didn't put a link to that. Okay, but yeah. So the Devil Kitties were also like little bouncy kitties, and these are bouncy pandas. And the pandas are pretty popular. She's got like 600,000 followers on TikTok, and so she was also one of the first artists in Japan, to one of the creators to do that, sort of nounify some of her art, which was got some attention. And she's included that. You can see Nouns glasses here. Just one other thing I want to mention about this is, let's see if I can find. I can find. Okay, so here's a video about it, saying Panda Lock is the world's first anti-theft feature. I don't know. I guess maybe you can see this. Oh, I bought an NFT. Great. Let me see. Oh, Achan, you haven't used Panda Lock yet. So they've got something here, and I think you can see it on the collection here. So I think basically if you lock it, then basically the contract won't let that NFT get transferred or sold. I think that's how it works. And I think Hayachi-san, our friend and blockchain engineer that's helping so many projects in Japan, I think he may have done this. So I'll get the details some later time, and we might revisit this because it's kind of interesting. We've seen, let's see, I saw one. Oh, there's one. Okay, here's one with a little. So there's a little lock icon shows up. If you, yeah. So be interested to know how that all works. I suspect they're just substituting in, I don't know, what is that? It's an overlay. I don't know how that works, but definitely curious. But basically, you can lock it and unlock it. So even if you get your wallet gets drained, you won't lose your AoPandas. So, it's good to see stuff like this happening because it's much needed in the space. Of course, 10KTF dropped the Worm wallet, open source. And Oniforce did something like this too. Like Oniforce did this thing where they dropped second the frames for the Oniforce holders, and you can transfer that frame. That basically it's tied to your main one. So you can, if you kept your main Oniforce in your cold wallet and used your frame Oniforce in your hot wallet, even if it got stolen, you can basically recall it. It comes back to the owner. But this is a different approach to that. What do you think, Steve? Do you think we're going to see some interest in this kind of idea? It seems to
I
me
think
like
so.
yeah.
For sure.
I
There's
mean,
so many, it's everybody's, talking about that. So many people are victims. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'd
I
like to
mean, a
know more
lot of
about how
people
they're
would
doing this.
probably like to lock their ape, right? Or something like that. Any valuable
Definitely.
NFT. Okay, so number three, we've got Yugian still there. They still haven't revealed, and I haven't seen. I'm looking at the Discord, and I haven't seen any real hints on when that reveal is going to happen. But they have been active, and they are making announcements, and so they're talking about doing. So they've held back a pretty large number, like several thousand, I think, a couple thousand or something of the total amount, and they're basically going to go around and do IRL events and sell them in these IRL events. And the first one's happening this Sunday in Kyoto, and it's sort of invitation only. They want sort of high. I don't. I think it's maybe not so much about high net worth as like they want to get connected people. So they want their NFT to be owned by all of the sort of powerful people in Japan. Now, it's probably going to be. I mean, this could. I feel like these people are really. I mean, they're connected, right? Because we've been to a bunch of parties, but their party is like NFT art party. Here. Let me just run this. Oh, you can. Oh, okay. Let me say this first about the IRL events they're doing. So they're basically going to sell an NFT. It's the exact same NFT and a print for 1 ETH. And the prints. This is actually on this video because they had some in NFT Tokyo there at the Trunk Hotel. So this is actually from that event, and you can see. So these are kind of close-ups, but that it's called they call it like 2.5D. So it's basically embossed, and that's done by Gasho. We know those folks, and we see them. They participate in a lot of the IRL NFT events in Tokyo. So we see them setting up, samples of their work, and there's some hanging in the crypto bar, and it looks good. It actually looks really good. It's kind of like brings a kind of 3D feel to this printed work. So that's what the print's going to be like. And the other thing, what was the other thing I was going to say about these guys? Oh yeah. So I mean, this video right here from NFT Art Tokyo. I mean, look at that line. I mean, it's insane. It went all the way around the block. There was 3,600 people there, and they were essentially one of the sponsors. And um, so, and I think they're involved in the organizing team. So this is a really interesting team. I don't think we've seen. I can't think of any other projects. Steve, maybe jump in here. Like, can you think of another project in Japan that's sort of bringing a kind of like a professional team to building the project as opposed to, basically around an artist? Like, who else would you put in that category?
I'm sure there are some. I don't know if I can think of any offhand. But one thing I was going
I
to
mean,
say here, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, there's like Sodan NFT, right? Like this, or there's DAOs, right? There's these organizations and groups, right, that are capable, like Sodan NFT, and of course, Crypto Ninja is the big one, right? But they're kind of they're either like DAOs or communities, but they're not. It's not like in my mind, it's kind of like apes. Like if you think about apes, right? Apes was a group of people. They brought in the artists, they built the project, and they planned something bigger, right? It wasn't just about the art. And I kind of feel like it's. I mean, that nobody probably wants to to have that comparison to live up to, but it's a little bit like that. I feel like this is a team that's got like a big plan and bringing some powerful people into it to execute it. And I don't think we've seen anything like that yet.
Yeah, so a
Um,
couple things on this. It feels like they're tapping into their network. It's like the powers that be are involved. And I think on one hand, like maybe that's not so Web3. It's not so organic. But on the other hand, you know, influencers in the space can bring on just so many people. And I think in Japan, if you get certain people with a bigger reach to be involved, you're going to be onboarding a lot more. You're going to be reaching a big section of the community of the population that is not kind of clued into what's going on. So actually, this could be a nice venue, like nice onboarding project for the
right.
space.
And totally agree with that. And just also this thing that we've been sort of harping on, this idea that there's less baggage around NFTs in general in Japan. And so when we kind of hit this sort of inflection point where it really goes mainstream, we think the adoption rate will be like astronomical. And it's this kind of like going in at the top, like going in with people, not like Web3 influencers, right? Because Web3 influencers are just speaking to the choir, but literally going in with people who wouldn't be jumping into NFTs and getting them to own one and maybe talk about it, maybe flash it. And that's what's going to really be, influence the mass market. So I'm kind of, even though, as you point out, it's like kind of there's a very non-Web3 aspect to it. I'm pretty excited to see this kind of thing because I think it bodes well for the space here in Japan.
Agree.
And
The word
uh,
mainstream is a good way to say it. Yep.
yeah, okay. So moving on, this is like totally different situation here. We've got at number 4 Halloween Poupelle. Poupelle. So if you recall, okay. Here's a look at Halloween Poupelle. So it's a 10K piece, just dropped. 04 floor price, 64% unique ownership, which is very high. Um, I don't know what to say about the art. It's like, it's obviously it's generative, but it looks pretty. I mean, we've got slightly different colors on the patches and the eyes here, but this is by the same guy, the Nishi no Akihiro, who produced this book, which was Chimney Town Poubelle. And we've seen this one before. We've looked at this before. This currently has 0 pieces for sale, but it was the last few sales we saw were in the sort of 4 or 5 ETH. So this was leading. We knew something was happening, and there you go. It was this drop coming up, right? And it's there's no website linked here. There's no Twitter linked here, so I had to dig to find his Twitter, right? And the Twitter's like barely mentions the project. Got one tweet linking to a press release. PR Times, here's the press release about this being dropped and that it sold out really quickly. And then it trended, I guess, briefly. And then he's got like a personal thing. So I think he's kind of like got a pretty big fan following. And then they've got this Chimney Dow thing. So it's really hard to understand what it's all about. But I guess if you know, you know. So the people that know or bought it, and 6,300 owners. It's very rare to see this percentage of ownership on a project like this. So we'll keep an eye out for developments there.
In that original collection, 98% ownership and nothing for sale. 55 items.
Right. Yeah.
And
And,
it just
and the
it's
last price we saw things moving at, I could go to here to activity, but the last things we saw moving were all in like 5.8, 7 ETH, 6 ETH, 6 ETH, 6 ETH. Right. So there's definitely, I mean, there's a solid community and a solid fan base here. So I guess we're gonna have to find someone who knows him, knows about it, knows what it's all about to explain it to us a bit more, because it's not very easy to find the links here to. But it's still amazing. It's amazing to see this stuff, and just the volume of generative projects, large projects we see coming out almost weekly now. Okay, and speaking of large projects coming out of nowhere, this is like, so here's Education Passport NFT, which dropped the other day. So this is 20K items, 20K items. So we've got this guy. I can't actually read that. I can't even read this name. And okay, so here's what I'm talking about. Look, here we're on OpenSea. There's no link to a website, no link to Discord, no link to Twitter. But 20K items sold out, 2% listed, 9% unique owners, 024 floor price. So, and the collaboration is with Kubota-san. And we saw him at Kawa. So he's doing the art, right? The AI art. You can see it here on this on the NFT here. We don't know if this is placeholder art or if this is what you get, because there's no links. But and we had Kubota-san like 2 weeks ago. We had him on our spaces, and I think he's maybe just helped out with the art, because he didn't mention that he had a 20K link coming up or want to promote it when we had 1,000 people on the spaces there. But
I'll DM with Kubota-san and maybe try to find out. Maybe he can join our spaces next week.
Yeah,
and
let's
talk
get
about
him
this
on.
if it's worth it.
Yeah, let's get him on and tell us about this. Yeah, I think that's what we got to do. So check our spaces on Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Japan time. Okay, next one.
So just quick thing on Kubota-san, he did an awesome performance art thing at Kawa. So you can check out the Kawa, the link to all the events and all the performances that happened. It was really cool.
Yeah, that was one of because it was on that amazing LED surround LED stage, and his piece was one of the the pieces that was like just perfect for that. So that was pretty cool. And he's it was good talking to him too. So all right, next we've got Kamiyo. So we mentioned this last week as an upcoming mint. It dropped, and it did sell out. And so pretty low floor, 008 here, and 14% unique owners, also a little low. But this is a project, as I think we mentioned before, has been around for like literally years, like way before Web3. And they're taking the traditional Kojiki history of ancient Japan and sort of bringing in all these kind of like anime type characters, and then doing voice dramas. So they've been releasing voice dramas for years, and this is all tied into that. So they have a pretty solid community, and we'll see. So there's 13.9K items. There's I forget. There's a reason behind this number, basically. And it ties into their story. But this is very story driven, and I recently got an intro to Murakami-san, the founder. So I'll be trying to talk to him in person, and hopefully maybe get him on our YouTuber spaces too. Here's the Twitter for that. This is Voicey is the platform that they do this on. It's very Japan focused, but the way they position their project is sort of wanting to teach about the culture of Japan to the world. It sounds like they want to be more international. So I think they're sort of going to be figuring out how to do that. We'd love to talk to them about that. Okay, and next we've got it's actually not too close to the top, but we did mention it last week. So Bonsai NFT Farm is down here at 31. the ranking. And I think I see 5.4K items, so I'm not sure they were planning to release a bit more than that, right? I think
Yeah,
it was
he
eight
was
eight oh three
8,031,
one. Yeah,
and he put
which
out a
is
tweet.
just
Go ahead.
go ahead. You go, Steve.
He put out a tweet saying that they're going to stop it at that number. So they did not mint out, but they minted the number that you see there, 5,369.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Majisuke, um, he's in London. He's off at NFT London, no doubt. Actually, I don't think he can take a real bonsai with him. So I think he's got because he was carrying one in New York too, but I think it was just a fake one because obviously you can't carry live plants into a country easily. But he's there promoting the project. And so this is just revealed, right? Because the other day we were still looking at the placeholder NFT. It's kind of cool. I kind of like this art. It's actually, yeah, quite a variation on the backgrounds and the bonsai art. Anyways, we meet him a lot at IRL events. He's a great guy, and he's super passionate about this project, and it's tied in with real bonsai. So it's just something you want to see. You want to see it succeed, and I think when you see that kind of passion and like really having a mission that you kind of know it's going to one way or the other. It's just how is it all going to play out? So we're certainly going to be along for the ride on this one. And okay, so another one. So this one's not in the ranking, probably because they didn't. The NFT ranking JP. You've got to contact Konipu and ask him to get you included. I don't think they've done that, but anyways, Mitama is has minted, and I think it was a Dutch auction. I heard the Dutch auction price was going to be 0.1, but I think they adjusted it and had it go down to 0.07. And then the it was not minting out. They were going to do like there was maybe some trouble with the mint, and then they're going to like resume the mint. Riku, the founder, and I think he's like a entrepreneur, so I think he's running several companies. And they also did some pre-sales that was like just fiat, like just taking people's money. So they have to sort that out, and there's some complicated tokenomics as well. So I think there was a little bit of grumbling about how the mint went. They got through it, and Riku was, I think he swept the floor. He said, "I'm personally going to sweep the floor and guarantee that it's at above the mint price, which it is right now, and it's been staying there for a couple of days." So yeah.
If he swept the floor, I mean, it's 99% unique owners.
Well,
So
yeah.
he didn't have to
So
sweep
I don't.
too much.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
don't think
case.
he didn't sweep too much because as you can see, there's only 1% listed, right? So
And
yeah,
1% listed.
that's a good point. Like it wasn't like this massive sweep. And I think I'm not seeing a lot of FUD in the Discord. I'm seeing like basically people are saying what's going on, what's next, what's happening, how does this all work? And so it's a little bit of confusion about that. And I think they said, "Oh, we're taking a day off, so don't worry, wait." So I think we'll see more on that. So it's another one that to keep an eye on here. And as we've mentioned before, this is all tied into a kind of like charity and DAO for good kind of thing. So it's a whole. The idea is that this is sort of going to benefit holders plus benefit all of the things that they want to support. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's it's always tough when you got to come up with make up complicated tokenomics, and here's an article on that. If you can find this is all well linked, so you can find the links to everything here. The website, Discord, Medium, Telegram, Twitter.
So far, they're getting the benefit of the doubt by holders. Nobody's listing, and
Yeah. Well, it's part. There's also this kind of I don't know how this is going to play out, like with OpenSea's rules and everything, but it's like basically you're supposed to sell. If I read this correctly, you're supposed to sell, but you're supposed to sell higher, and then you get some other NFT, which entitles you to some kind of ongoing royalties. So I think that's the thing. Everyone's like, so what do I do now? So I'll keep an eye on that and report back on that. Okay, so that's the top of the rankings. Last week we mentioned some upcoming events that there was a Nouns pop-up in Shinjuku. So I went to that on the opening day, met David Horvath, and saw Don there, Data Dub, who is the boots on the ground here, putting it all together. It was small corner in a department store in the Marui Annex there, but it's actually pretty amazing because David's got really strong connections in the creative community here, and he brought together 12 artists. Any one of them can do their own kind of IRL event and get tons of people there. Some of them have huge followings, and he got a dozen of them, right? And so they each took one of these figures, and you can see like this, and basically did their own design work on it, and then put it up for sale. This is like 22,000 yen, so that's probably about $180. And this is a very popular creator, right? So I think people had to put their name in if they wanted to buy it, and then it was basically they're going to pick one name to be able to buy it and that this ended on yesterday, I think Wednesday. But there's going to be more. There's going to be more stuff coming up. There's like a part 2 of this, I think, and then this is all leading up to this figure that's going to be come in a few different standard paint jobs that will then be sold as a product in stores in Japan and possibly elsewhere, but I think mostly Japan. So here's the full lineup of the artists. Yeah, it's quite a range, but so it was great. It was great to go there and see that. And speaking of nouns, we also mentioned Nounish CNP is so this is coming up on the 12th of November. I think it's pretty much impossible to get in the whitelist. This is a CNP, of course, Crypto Ninja partners. So apparently, we heard from Tony on our spaces on Tuesday that you probably need to own several pieces from the Crypto Ninja partner ecosystem to qualify for a whitelist, and that's probably all pretty much done. And it's going to go out. So it's 3,000 pieces and 002 ETH. So I would expect a pretty big pump on this, like right away. And also speaking of CNP, actually transitioning there from nouns to CNP, we mentioned this little thing that got dropped last week and sort of showed up in the rankings. This is somehow related to an IRL CNP event. So if you're in Japan, if you're collecting NFTs, you're almost already for sure part of the CNP ecosystem by owning one of the many projects that they've come out with. But they have some kind of IRL event. So that and that's happening in November. I haven't seen a date on that. It just said November. It just says November, right? Crypto Ninja Partners Bar Nin event in November. Yeah, so and it says this is going to burn at the end of that its roll. So this is just basically like somehow a ticket or some special perks thing for that event. And then we also we talked to Tony on our spaces on Tuesday, and the promotion and sort of community building and everything for John Smith is going really well. It's still scheduled to drop in November sometime, but we don't have a date yet. So we're keeping an eye on that. We think this is a really exciting project. That's it for me, Steve. Do I miss anything?
I think you got it all. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. All right. So let's, yeah, definitely subscribe if you haven't subscribed at all. And likes are always welcome. And you know, we're really the only English language media for covering news and really timely stuff like this on Japan as a regular basis. Of course, there's many. There's you know, Tony and NFT JPN and other friends that are also doing something like that, but not quite in the sort of wrap up style that we do. And then we have our Twitter on Tuesdays. We've been getting sort of 600 to 1,000 people the last few weeks. It's really fun and a good chance to meet some creators and also talk about, you know, NFTs in Japan, what's going on in a sort of different style, because this is Sunrock and myself, and you know, on Tuesdays we have more co-hosts and speakers and kind of get into all kinds of things. So definitely, and that's 10 a.m. on Japan time. I think next week the North America will be switching to standard time again. So then it will be 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern. That's it.
Join us. It's always fun, and we always tweet about it, so you can get the alert, put it on your timeline.
And one last thing, make sure you're following our NEKO Alliance Twitter. We're very close to sort of moving into, you know, I know we've been saying that for months and months, but you know, there's reasons for it, and you can find out the reasons. You can find out what's going on. You can find out what's going to happen next. But you got to be on the Twitter to hear about it. And there's going to be some very cool stuff happening.
Don't sleep on the Nekos.
Don't sleep on the Nekos, man. Okay, and with that, on that note, see you next week. See you Tuesday. I gotta get an AoPanda Party.
Me too.